I also hope that you are having an amazing day so far. So, today we'll be doing our grade 5 English lesson on personal pronouns. And before we start with our lesson on personal pronouns, we are going to log into a+students.ca. Once we've logged into a+students.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts and then grade 5. All right, so once we have selected the subject of language arts, grade 5, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of personal pronouns. Okay, so once we are by the chapter of personal pronouns, our subject is English, which is language arts, grade 5. The lessons that we're going to be focusing on today under the subject of personal pronouns is to choose between subject and object pronoun, compound subjects and objects with I and me. So basically, how to use it, what is a compound object, what is a compound subject and object, and then compound subjects and objects with pronouns, right? So that is going to be our focus lessons for today under our chapter of personal pronouns. And we are doing our tutorial lesson on a+students.ca. So we're doing our lesson on a+students.ca. And also if you want to go back, recap, go over the work, and then you can go to a+students.ca, and there we have the chapter, subject, grade, as well as the lessons that we are doing for today. All right, so a pronoun, right? So a pronoun, it takes the place of a noun, right? So a pronoun, it takes the place of a noun. A group of words acting as nouns or another pronoun. So basically, a pronoun takes the place of a noun, a group of words acting as a noun, or another pronoun, right? So that is basically a pronoun. But specifically, the most easiest description or definition is the fact that the pronoun takes the place of a noun, right? So it can either be one word, name of a person, place, or thing, or even an idea, or it can be like when they say a group of words, then it can either be saying maybe Chanel and or Chanel and Jack, Jack and Jill, for example. So that can be a group of words acting as a noun, or it can be acting as or takes the place of another pronoun. And a personal pronoun, right? So that is basically a pronoun that takes the place of a noun. And when it comes to a personal pronoun, and then a personal pronoun, it refers to a person or thing. And a personal pronoun that is the subject of a sentence is a subject pronoun. And usually if we talk about a subject pronoun, right, it's almost like they are referring to you as a person. You are the subject of the conversation, like some people would say. They are talking about you, right? So a personal pronoun, we said, that is the subject of a sentence. Subject is someone we are talking about, referring to. We call that a subject pronoun. And then our subject pronouns, right? It's I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. So that we call subject pronouns, right? We are either talking about I, right? Or me, or I. We're either talking about you, right? Talking about he, she, it. Or it can be plural, where it's we, you, and they. So that is subject pronouns, right? So if we talk about specifically I, then it's like I am doing something, right? I am going somewhere. You can either be referred to as you, as in a singular form, or you in a plural form. And then also a personal pronoun that is the direct or indirect object of a verb is an object pronoun. So a personal pronoun that is the direct or indirect object of a verb, we call that the object pronoun. So an object pronoun or examples of object pronouns, or let's say this common object pronouns, are me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. So those are object pronouns. And if you can look at the difference between a subject pronoun and an object pronoun, right? Then the subject, it's like saying, I am doing something. You are going to the shop. He did something. She is, it ran away, or it is running away. And the same with we, you, and they. Whereas with an object pronoun, right, it is basically where it says that it is the direct or indirect of a verb, right? It is like where we refer to him. So we will say Natalie, then we will say her, it, us, you, and them. So now if we look at an example, right? If we look at examples, it says he has a paper route. He has a paper route. And in this case, the pronoun he is a subject pronoun because he is the subject of that sentence. So he, like we said, is the subject pronoun because he is the subject of that specific sentence. He has a paper route or paper route. And then if we look at the object pronoun, right, then we can say Paula asked him for help. And usually with object pronouns, it comes after the verb. All right. So that is basically our pronouns. Personal pronoun, which refers to a person or thing. And then we said we have our subject pronouns as well as our object pronouns. So now we're going on to aplusstudents.ca. And we see the first lesson that we are focusing on is to choose between subject and object pronouns. All right. You can use a subject pronoun as a subject of a sentence or clause, right? And it tells you who is doing something, right? The subject is like referring to someone, a person or thing that is doing the action, right? So it's doing the action. And it is usually at the beginning of a sentence. So a subject pronoun you will find at the beginning of a sentence. And the subject pronouns we said are I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. So that is basically a subject pronoun. And like we said, the subject pronoun, right, it tells us who is doing something. And we usually find that at the beginning of the sentence. So if we look at an example, right, I hug Rick. So I hug Rick. So the word I is our subject pronoun. So it tells us who is doing something. So who is hugging Rick or who hugs Rick? I, which is our subject pronoun. So I then is the subject of that sentence. So who is doing something? I am doing something, right? And you can use an object pronoun after an action verb. You can also use an object pronoun after a preposition. For example, like at, for, of, on, to, or with. And the object pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. So those are our object pronouns. And we see this object pronoun, it comes after an action verb, or it can go after a preposition. And an example of a object pronoun is, for example, Rick hugs me. Remember, we said that an object pronoun is after the action verb. So if we identify the action verb, we can identify it as hugs. So which means that our pronoun or object pronoun is me. And that is after hugs, after the action verb. So they're saying the object pronoun is used after an action verb, which is hugs. Here we have another one. Rick smiles at me. So me is the pronoun or the personal pronoun. And the object pronoun me is used after preposition, which is at. And remember, we said that the object pronoun is after an action verb, or it can go after a preposition. All right, so if we look at our say activity, right? We need to select the correct pronoun to complete the sentence. So we need to correct the pronoun to complete the sentence. When Vera is upset, she always confides in confides in him, confides in me. So we basically need to choose between him or he. So we need to say which one is correct. Is it he confides in him or he confides in him? We need to choose the correct one to complete the sentence. So when Vera is upset, she always confides in, do we say confides in him or she always confides in he? We need to choose or select the pronoun to complete the sentence. Him or he. All right, so if we choose the correct pronoun, right, then it says when Vera is upset, she always confides in he or him. So basically, our correct answer is she always confides in him. Right? So she always confides in him. So which means that this is an object pronoun. So this is an object pronoun. Because remember, we said words like he, she, it, I, right? Those are subject pronouns. And it tells us who is doing something, and that is at the beginning of the sentence. All right. Froze at the sight of the snake on the ground. Do we say that we need to fill in a correct answer over here? I'm going to make a question mark. So do we say me or do you say I? Me froze at the sight of the snake on the ground or I froze at the sight of the snake on the ground? Me or I? All right, so if we choose the correct one, then we say I is the correct answer. So I froze at the sight of the snake on the ground. Yes, well done. I is correct. Because we said I is a subject pronoun, right? And we said it becomes or it comes at the beginning of the sentence. So this tells us who is doing something. I froze. Who froze? I froze at the sight of the snake on the ground. And remember, we said me is an object pronoun, and that usually comes after an action verb. So lastly, we select the correct pronoun to complete the sentence. Would you like to go to the fashion show with, do we say with us? Or do you say with we? With us or with we? So which one is correct? Is it with us or with we? So would you like to go to the fashion show with us? Or do you want to go to the fashion show with we? right, so basically we can say with us, right? So would you like to go to the fashion show with us? And us being the object pronoun. So it being the object pronoun. So now let's go on to our test. So we're going to now select the correct pronoun to complete the sentence. Do we say he or do we say him dyed his hair purple for Halloween? So him dyed his hair purple for Halloween, or he dyed his hair purple for Halloween? So if we choose the correct one, we can then say he dyed his hair purple for Halloween, right? So which means that he is our subject pronoun, right? And we usually say he, who is our subject pronoun. It comes at the beginning of the sentence. Because remember, him is an object pronoun. So he, well done, he is correct. Do you think the judges will select, do we say select her or select she? Select her or select she? So do you think the judges will select her, or do you think the judges will select she? All right, so if we choose the correct pronoun to complete the sentence, we can select, do you think the judges will select her? Which is the first one, and that is correct. So well done. Remember to tell your parents that you appreciate, do we say they, appreciate they, or appreciate them? Appreciate they, option one, or appreciate them, option two? So remember to tell your parents that you appreciate them, right? So we need to remember to tell our parents that we appreciate them, because them is it is an object pronoun. All right, and them is correct. The mosquitoes buzzed around and then bit me or bit I. So the mosquito buzzed around and then bit me or bit I. So the mosquito buzzed around and then bit me or then bit I. All right, so if we select the correct pronoun, then we can say the mosquitoes buzzed around and then bit me, right? It bit me, and that is correct. So bit me being our personal pronoun. All right, so now we're going on to compound subjects and objects with I and me. So it's basically how and when to use I and when to use me. So we say that I is a subject pronoun, right? It tells us who is doing something, and it's usually at the beginning of the sentence. And remember, when it comes to subject pronouns, right? You can use it either as a subject of a sentence or a clause. For example, I hug Rick, right? So in that case, I is the subject pronoun, right? It tells us that the speaker is doing something. So what is the speaker doing? The speaker hugs Rick. So which means that the pronoun is I. All right. So when it comes to me, we see that with I, right? I is a subject pronoun, right? Tells us that the speaker is doing something. Then we have me, right? Which is an object pronoun. And you can use it after an action verb. And we say that you can also use it after a preposition such as at, for, of, to, or with. And we have an example. Rick hugs me. And if we look at that sentence, right? Me is after the action verb, after the action verb hugs, and the word basically before then. So basically, me, like I say, is the object pronoun, and that comes after the action verb, which is hugs. And if we look at the example, Rick hugs me, we say that the object pronoun me is used after an action verb, which is hugs. And when a pronoun connected to a noun with the word and, like Rick or I or Rick and me, then it can be hard to tell which pronoun is correct. And if we look at the examples, right? I like the teacher. So I like the teacher, right? So Rick and I like the teacher. We like either separate those words, we can then say it is I like the teacher. All right. So if we look at the one sentence, it says Rick and I like the teacher. Or we can say I like the teacher. Or you can say the teacher likes Rick and me. So in this case, the teacher likes Rick and me. That is an object pronoun. And then we say teacher likes me, which is also an object pronoun. All right. So now we must complete this activity. Pedro and chuckled at the story. Do we say Pedro and me? Or do we say Pedro and I? So Pedro and we say Pedro and I. Pedro and I chuckled at the story. So I is our. It's called that is still the subject pronoun, right? And if you remove, for example, Pedro and, then we can basically still complete that sentence by saying, I chuckled at the story. So basically, I. All right. And then we have Miss Harden introduce the other artists and. Do we say and I or do we say and me? So Miss Harden introduced the other artist and I or and me. All right. So we can say that Miss Harden introduced the other artist and me. Because I is a personal pronoun, comes at the beginning of a sentence. That is a personal pronoun, comes at the beginning of a sentence, and it tells us who is basically not doing something, who, or let's say what the speaker is doing. So it tells us what the speaker is doing, the person that is talking is doing. So we say Miss Harden introduced the other artist and me. All right, so let's go to our test. So we're going to begin test. So Mr. Thornton hired my cousins and, do we say hired my cousins and me or hired my cousins and I? Mr. Thornton hired my cousins and me or my cousins and I? So which one is the correct sentence? The correct pronoun? All right, so we can say Mr. Thornton hired my cousin and me. So we can say Mr. Thompson hired my cousin and Actually, it's my cousin and I. My cousin and so we can say hide my cousins and I. Or let's say me. Because basically it comes hired. You see, my cousins and it comes after the action verb, which is hired. So we say me. Yes, so me is correct. Sometimes we write how we speak, right? So me is correct. So well done. Rena and, do we say Rena and I or Rena and me blend the milkshake? Rena and I or Rena and me blend the milkshake. Which one is the correct pronoun to complete the sentence? Rena and I blend the milkshake or Rena and me blend the milkshake? All right, so if we choose a subject pronoun, we can say Rena and I blend the milkshake. Not Rena and me, Rena and I. Shireen and, do we say Shireen and I or Shireen and me blamed ourselves? All right, so if we complete the sentence, we can say Shireen and I blamed ourselves. All right. So that is basically compound subjects and object subjects where we use I and we use me. Right? So now we're going to compound subjects and objects with pronouns. Right? And we already gave a description, right? Where we said that I is a subject pronoun, me is an object pronoun, right? And you can use it as a subject of a sentence or clause. This is not I, and it tells us what the speaker is doing. And then when it comes to an object pronoun, right? Me is an object pronoun, and you can use it after an action verb, and you can also use it after a preposition, right? And if we see the difference between I and me, I is a subject pronoun, and it tells us what the speaker is doing. And we say me is the object pronoun, and this comes after the action verb or preposition. So now we need to select the correct pronoun to complete the sentence. Do we say my friends and me, or my friends and I join the school choir? My friends and me, or my friends and I join the school choir? Chorus. Join the school chorus. My friends and me, or my friends and I. All right, so if we choose the correct one, we can say my friends and I chose, or let's say joined the school chorus. So my friends and I joined the school chorus. All right. Now we're going on to our test. So we need to select the correct pronoun to complete the sentence. Do we say her and her partner performed beautifully, or do we say she and her partner performed beautifully? All right, so if we choose the correct one, we can say she and her dad partner performed beautifully because she is a personal pronoun, right? Oopsie. So she. Remember we said that her is the object pronoun, or it comes after the action verb. And now we need to select the correct pronoun to complete the sentence. To say he and Emmett took a bow after the game, or him and Emmett took a bow after the game, after the show. So he or him and Emmett took a bow after the show. All right, so he can say he and Emmett took a bow after the show. And he is correct because he is a subject pronoun. And then the crying baby clung to Ella and me, or Ella and I. So the crying baby clung to Ella and me, or Ella and I. Which one is the correct pronoun to complete the sentence? The crying baby clung to Ella and me, or Ella and I. All right, so we can then say the crying baby clung onto Ella and me, right? And we said that is our object pronoun. All right, so that is basically personal pronouns, and we said a pronoun, it takes the place of a noun, right? And then we have subject pronouns as well as object pronouns. And subject pronouns, it basically tells us what the person is doing, and it's words such as I, she, he, they, right? And then we have an object pronoun that comes after an action verb, right? And it's words like me, him, for example, hers, theirs, they, and so forth, right? So that is basically our lesson on personal pronouns. And remember, we said the personal pronoun takes the place of a noun. So that is the end of our lesson on personal pronouns. Thank you very much, grade 5, for joining the class. And I really hope you're going to have a good day further. Bye.